Mitra, mind chatter. Tell me about the
Oh, yeah.
chatter in your mind.
Which one?
Exactly. Which voice? Yeah.
Which voice? There's so
Yeah.
many happening. Yeah, there is, I always call it this person who lives rent-free upstairs in my head. It takes over my life sometimes and is constantly, and the one I suppose we refer to as chatter is the one that is in fear and in survival mode and it's always defending or attacking or making up stories and dramatizing the real stories. So that's the one we're referring to because there are other available voices, if you like, that we can listen to. But let's first talk about that. The way I deal with it is that I hear it because it is so difficult to distinguish between who I am truly and who this chatter is independently.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
That most of the time I believe that I am it.
Yep.
And and I just like distinguishing between it and me. Me being the aware me, it being the frightened aspect of my mind.
Yeah. It's not, it almost, I am it almost still creates like that separation. It's like, it's me. It's
Yeah.
me.
Yes.
Like what I'm
Yes. It's
hearing
me.
is me.
Yes.
And what I'm
And
thinking is me.
yes.
And
And
I'm,
it's not. It is the aspect of you that is very necessary, by the way. We don't want to ever get rid of it because usually when we recognize, so first is that we don't recognize it. I believe it is me, as you said. It's me. There is no separation. And then we get to a place that we know this is not me. This is just a voice within me. And then I want to get rid of it, which makes it even more dominant and prominent and important because, as you know, the moment we want to get rid of anything, we're paying all of our attention to it,
yeah.
you know? So, yeah, then what do we do becomes very important when I do recognize it and identify it. What do I do with it? So,
Yeah.
but before we go on, I want to hear about what do you do? What happens in your head then?
Well, we were talking a little bit about it before this conversation, and this week, I just spent time just observing, just being a witness, and I couldn't help but recognize the splitness of the chatter in my mind. How my mind is almost like there's two parts of it. They're split and they're against each other and they're fighting with each other. And what one wants, the other doesn't want. And here I am watching it, and I'm just like, this is insanity. This is crazy. I've been relying on this. Like, this is what I've been using. I mean, this is not the first time I've observed this in me, but it's interesting. And, there's that voice that's often, I mean, it's all fear. It's all fear. This is what I observe. There's you know, there's the fearful part of the chatter that says you should be doing this. And then there's the fearful part that within me says, no, no, you shouldn't do that because you're shooting yourself, and it's like,
It's
and,
complicated.
it gets complicated. And what's funny is like, this is the irony of the personal development journey is because it can exaggerate the split
Mhm.
in your mind. Because now you have all of these things, all of these people, and all of these lessons that are telling you, oh no, the way you were doing it is wrong. You should be, uh, if you're not experiencing love, or if you're not at peace, or if you're not, uh, looking at your uh, friend or your companion compassionately, then that's not right. You should be. It's a different kind of should, right?
Mhm.
So there's the unhealed part that's like, I want to like strangle that person, and then there's the one that's trying to heal, and it's the same. It's the ego, which is still rooted in fear. That's like, no, 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 you shouldn't do that, because if you do, something bad would really happen. You shouldn't have those thoughts, and so it creates this confliction. So what do I do? That was your question. Is just witness the insanity of it, and and in witnessing it, and just really allowing it to be, not doing anything about it. There are no shoulds. Everything is as it is, and when I'm able to do that, I'm able to separate myself from it and realize, whoa, like this is not me. These thoughts are not me. And it's not only for me in my experience, and I think this is true for most, if not all people. It accompanies with sensations. We have feelings associated with this chatter. So it's not only a purely thought chatter where when I experience the, oh no, you shouldn't do that, there's a contraction, there's a fear that I feel in the bodies, but recognizing, being the witness to all of it and just recognizing it for what it is, and that it's not me. And that really helps me get distance from it and recenter myself. Yeah.
Very helpful. The thing that I remember when I'm working through these voices, that there are many voices, but we're talking about two main voices. There is a need and a role for both of them.
Mm,
The frightened voice that is sounds almost crazy to us at times is the voice that was there to protect us. That's how we survive with that voice. Its job, its agenda is to separate me from everything else so it can protect me. In fact, for protection, you need separation. Okay. And the other voice is its agenda is to connect me. So one separates me, one connects me. One is for survival, one is for thrival.
mm,
And and they both have a role. The only problem, in my case at least, is that my survivalist voice in my head is overactivated. It
mhm,
speaks all the time. And I'm thinking, I'm sitting here, I'm quite safe. I'm with a friend. We're just chatting. And he says, oh yeah, but Ben, yeah, I think he this and you get to talk now. I'm thinking, I'm good. I'm really good. Thank you. I'm good. I'm safe. You can settle now. It doesn't settle down because it's overactivated by our overusage of it. We lead our lives at times as if we truly are in danger. And let's say I'm just late for a meeting. That's not a danger, but my mind acts as if I'm in danger, hence the physical reaction to it, hence the anxiety that we're feeling, that really most situations they're called for it. Because the mind says to the body, oh my God, run. The body doesn't know why it's running. It's running because I may be 5 minutes late for my meeting. The body believes that there's danger, a dangerous animal is chasing it. So it goes to that mode and stays in that mode. Now, what do? I loved what you said, witnessing it. So I'm witnessing these two elements of me, one very good for survival and extremely dangerous to thrival, the other one made for my thriving experience. My job as a witness is to just watch these two voices, listen to those voices, and decide, thank you for your input. I'm good now. And you can rest, says Mitra to the survival mode and voice. And now I need to hear this one. And of course, that probably keeps talking because we've overactivated it. But I don't need to pay that much attention to it. I don't want to shut it down because I need it tomorrow when I'm crossing the road. I need that voice to say, Mitra, stop, stop. I say, oh, thank you. Otherwise, I will hit a car or another person, run into something that I'm not supposed to. So I need it. I just don't need it all the time. That's all.
yeah, that's the key, is recognizing that it's I mean, what you're talking is like, it's not me. There's me, there's the me, the the uppercase me, and then there's the these voices that we experience. And yeah, when we can have that kind of separation, then it's much easier.
Mhm.
um we're saying two voices. um Sometimes I experience 10 voices in my head,
Yes,
So
yes,
yeah, IFS talks about this. What do they call it? Internal family systems,
yes.
which is a modality of therapy. It acknowledges the different characters. You've talked about it, the different characters at the table, the different
Yes.
aspects of our personality. But I think what you're saying is categorically they fall into two places. One is the fear based, the ones that are really anchored. They're scared. They're more a little bit more based in fear. And then you're talking about the wiser voice.
Yes.
I'm
And
understanding
there
that
is a
correctly, right?
need for, yes, that's
Yeah.
very accurate. Thank you for actually clarifying it. And it's also important to understand that there's a need for both of them. There's no bad and good. There's no one that then none of those voices we need to get rid of. It's really when it's really misusing them. So I need these voices. That's why they're there. They had a role and they may have a role in the future. My job as the centered decision maker, adult, wise person is to recognize which voice I need to activate and listen to. And when I listen to the wrong voice at the wrong time, then that's when all those elements that we call mental health issues arise. So we really, what we're doing is we're talking about energetic aspect of our physical and mental conditions. That's when it happens, when I activate the wrong voice at the wrong time. I'm sitting here, um, connecting to you as a friend, doing a very casual conversation. Then I turn it into a anxiety driven, difficult, and really challenging survival experience. What if Ben asked me a question I can't answer? What if I sound like not smart in comparison to Ben? So I go to a place that there is no need for it. My life is not in danger. There's no need for that aspect of my mind to be hired right now
Yeah.
and present right now.
Yeah. My wiser self, I don't experience as a voice. I experience as a knowingness.
Mhm.
So it's like there are the voices that are more angry, fearful, guilt driven. I do have the
Mhm.
voices that are also more uh, love centered, compassionate, understanding. And then there's like there's just the knowingness where there's no voice. And
Mhm.
oftentimes I find myself allowing myself to reach that voice. Sometimes I need to because as we've talked about before, I grew up with so much anxiety, and it was I had so many voices that were split within me, and it just created so much anxiety. And so oftentimes for me, it's just being an observer to the voices, allowing them to be, and naturally they tend to settle, and then I reach that place of knowingness where there is no voice even. It's just
Mhm.
resonance. I experience it as resonance, as I experience it as an expansiveness in my body, and there is actually no thought to it.
Mm.
It's spontaneous. So
That's
how
when you are connected to your
so
intuition.
help me, yeah. So how does that fall within your framework, the framework that you're talking about?
Mm. My framework is this. It's very similar, actually. So the witness that you're calling is the aware me. So remember I talked about the long table, and around the table there exist all the characters and voices within me. The question always is who's sitting at the head of that table.
Mm,
If my frightened mind is sitting at the table, or just a loving self sitting at a table, it's the decisions are different. I would like that witness that you call it a witness. You call it knowingness. It's not a character. It's a aspect of you. So I would like is that part, whatever you want to call it, to be sitting at the head of the table. Meaning, really, it's not about voices. It's about authority. That's the authority. That's
mm,
the decision maker.
mm,
It may or may not have a voice, but I love the triangulation. There is the fear, there's the survival, there's the thriving, and then there is the decision maker at the head of the table.
mm,
And that is the aware self, that's the connected self, that's intuition, that's whatever you want to call it. You call it wise and wisdom and in witness. The question is who's making the decision as to who needs to be speaking right now.
yeah.
As long as that aspect of me the wise me, the witness me, is in charge, then it doesn't matter how many voices and characters are sitting around the table. The more, the merrier. No problem. I just don't want to give authority and the head seat to the frightened me, which happens often if I'm not aware. On automatic and on autopilot, the head of the table is the frightened me, and the frightened me leads me to fearful places, no matter what's happening and who I'm with. That's the key for me, that who's at the head of the table. And if it's the aware me, it's just like, okay, it can digest many things that the fearful me cannot. It can see many things that the fearful me can't see, because my survival aspect needs to focus, completely zoom in order to protect me.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think, the voices occur at different volumes at different times.
Hmm.
Uh, sometimes it seems like there's 10 going at once and it's very stressful and anxiety provoking. And other times we're in a more relaxed state and we just notice and it's much easier to kind of perceive what's going on. Let's take the example of someone who might be feeling just a little overwhelmed right now and stressed, and there's just a lot happening. And in fact, that person might believe that there's some sort of, external circumstance that is the cause of this distress that they're experiencing. Let's just say they're dealing with financial distress. How would you guide that person?
Believe it or not, the remedy is also the poison. So just think about what overwhelm is. Overwhelm means taking more than the capacity we have in that moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? And to a frightened mind, it sounds like if you've got too much to do, go and do them faster.
Mm-hmm.
And to the wiser aspect, at least of me, it says, take a break, do nothing, just for 5 minutes, 5 breaths, do nothing. Because this perpetual doing is the autopilot reaction to overwhelm, which makes me feel more overwhelmed. It's like when you are in a rush and you're really late, you usually take the wrong key and wrong file and wrong bag, and then you have to go and come back and pick another one. If you only took a second and stopped, and if I tell you stop, you say, Mitra, I'm late. I say, I know. That's why I'm saying it. Can you stop? And you stop, and I say, okay, now, where are you going? You say to such and such. I say, do you have the folder for that? You say, oh, no. I said, okay. I said, which car are you driving? He said, my car. I said, is this the right key? Because you're taking my key. And you say, oh, okay. It's because when we're rushed, we usually don't make very good decisions.
Yeah.
So the answer is to pause.
Well, when we're rushed too, we're identified with one uh, uh, these voices that are like, you have
Yes.
to, because otherwise the consequences are dire. you know
Yes.
so that part can be really hard though, to when we're feeling that overwhelm, when we have that external circumstance that feels like it's calling us to do something, but our inner state is distressed and anxious. It can be very hard
Yes.
to pause, but that is the cue. That is the
Mhm.
cue when we start feeling overly anxious, and we know it when we are, and when things start stop working out, everything feels like an uphill battle. My sleep is off schedule, or I'm not eating on routine. That's a clear signal that, okay, something is off. What I'm listening to is not working in my favor, and not working towards what I truly want.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm on the wrong road. I'm going south, and further I go, further away I get from where I want to be. So I stop. So you asked, what do you do? Pause, ask yourself what's going on. And that's why that one of the oldest tools that I remember, I think it was 40, 50 years ago when it came out, that give it a number, 0 to 10, life and death being 10. And very rarely we have 10. If I'm at 10, I probably will die and, won't experience 11. But just numbering it. Where is it at? Oh, I'm late for this, or that's what's happening. Or it could be something more. I mean, I keep saying I'm late for something. It could be that I have to go to the hospital. But even then, you do it very differently when you are doing it with awareness. So pause, evaluate what's going on. Where am I? Am I going south or north? What's happening? And then continue. And this time, this continuation is with awareness. So this pause is for really connecting to the head of the table, or as the witness that you called it, because that person in autopilot is not in charge. I can tell you very rarely, unless there's an enlightened person, that their default is their wise witness self. I know my autopilot is not that person. I need to call her in.
Mm,
I need to make sure she's the one who's sitting at the head of the table
mm.
so that I can make sure the decision maker I trust.
Yeah, yeah, and you're just so reminding ourselves that that wiser self, which is peaceful, which approaches things from groundedness with clarity. There's a difference between doing what needs to be done and doing it in from a centered place and doing it from a frantic place. You know,
Exactly.
reconnecting. We all have experienced that aspect of the self. So reminding ourselves that that aspect of the self is there, that that possibility exists for us, becoming aware of the contrast of what that wiser self, how that wiser self would respond to this situation versus how I'm responding now. And then to sit down from that with that context, with that awareness. Because
I
now
have
we're
a
not
name for
absorbed.
her.
Now we're not totally immersed in the franticness, right? We need a way to kind of zoom out a little
Yes.
bit from the franticness, give ourselves context and awareness of the other possibility, and then observe from that place and observe neutrally. Oftentimes we can observe and see the insanity of the mind, how it just doesn't make sense. Go on.
Most of the
You
time.
wanted to say something?
No, I was going to say that it's very interesting the way I see it. That aspect of me is the adult. The rest of me are children, very smart children, very beautifully educated, like
Yes.
amazing children. And the question is, who's the parent? Who's the adult in this room? If bunch of kids out of like their, and as I said, some of them are very intelligent. The survival aspect of me is so intelligent. I can tell you, it has helped me survive wars and revolutions
Oh
and
yeah.
lonely traveling sort of nights. And I'm still safe and I'm here. So I really, really honor that aspect of me, because this devaluation of, you know, of that part of me is not right, because honestly, I'm here in front of you, Ben, because I know how to survive. And I've been through many situations that there was a chance that I wouldn't survive. So I want to honor that aspect of me. That's an intelligent, sometimes playful, sometimes brilliant aspect of me. However, I need the adult in me, the wise in me, the witness in me to make decisions. Otherwise, this kid who's very talented and even experienced um, would do damage or do inappropriate things that are not good for me or for others. How do you make distinction and make decisions?
It's the same. It's a very similar process. It's also recognizing and honoring that part of me that at one time I needed, that survival mechanism. You know, it was not purposeless. At one point I didn't I really needed it to survive. As a child, when I didn't know any better, there was, I needed these coping mechanisms. And just recognizing them and appreciating them, but I no longer need them. It became a habit. It became a habit. As a kid, I thought it was me, right?
Mhm.
These voices, these survival mechanisms. But now I can recognize that no, that's not me, and I don't need them right now to run the show. They don't need to captain this ship anymore.
And you may need them in the future.
Yeah.
And that's fine too. It's not like it's done and we need to pack it up. Because I don't know, I may need my survival self, next day or next minute or next week. But I just don't need it right now. Right now, I'm good. I'm safe. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think for me that understanding is very key, has been very
Mhm,
key to have compassion for that part of me and understanding for why it's there and how it actually served me really helps me
mhm,
just see it for what it is. And in fact, when I'm able to really witness what's happening, so I go from witnessing the voices, right, to understanding and feeling the essence. What is it that's
mhm,
driving the voice? And then I
mhm,
oftentimes reconnect with that younger part of myself that was just so frightened. Just he was just so scared. That little 5-year-old Benji, he was in a situation that he really didn't have the tools, the resources, the ability to handle in any other way. And it turns into just really deep compassion and understanding.
yeah. Yes, honoring that and honoring this voice that has helped you and may help you again is important because we either um, give it too much power or we want to demonize it and get rid of it. The fact is, it's there, it's been helpful, it may be helpful again. It's not about its existence, it's about usage. When is the right time to use it
Yeah.
and call it in? Yeah, great conversation.
Yes, Mitra.
Would love
Well,
to hear
thank
what
you.
people do with these voices in their heads.
Yes, please share with us. We love, love, love to hear from you guys. Leave comments for us. Until next time,
Ciao.
ciao, ciao. Thank you so much for tuning in today. For a list of the links and other resources referenced in this episode, check out the podcast description.
If you're benefiting from our podcast, we'd love if you could help us reach more people by subscribing. Your support means the world to us. From our hearts to yours, we thank you.